Bacon. What's everybody getting themselves into on this Thirsty Thursday? You already know. Right here at work, decided to hop on, chop it with individuals. See what the talk of the town is going down the point of the curve. You heard me. Here in Southern California, it is a hot as fuck day. It is like 100 degrees, hot as fuck. But it is a nice day, but just not to be out and about. Maybe later when the sun goes down, or maybe people are just saving it for tomorrow. Well, Senator wanted to hop on right here and see what's good with everybody. Let me just move it around. Okay. Now, for yesterday, I want to apologize for yesterday. My phone died. That's pretty much why the live, just ended, out of nowhere. I forgot to put my phone in the charger. So that shit died. This time, we're not making the same mistake because my phone's on 3%, but I plugged it in, so we should be good. Yesterday, I completely forgot about my shit. And then my shit died. What's cracking like in Jose? Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? And then I seen, oh shit, my shit died. I was like, wah, wah, wah. Today's at 4%. I have to start charging my phone. Let me just move this over here. Well, what's good with you? Hope you're having a lovely Thursday. Right before, 4th of July? Because 4th of July is mañana, no? Mañana. So, tomorrow's going to be, woo, man. I don't know if people are going to be celebrating it, but I'm just saying, I'm pretty sure you'll still have a bunch of people celebrating it. But it be getting hectic still, though. That ICE ain't playing. They even fucking detained Cesar Chavez Jr. They rounded that fool up. Like, damn, my boy. Right after the Jake fight. What's cracking like in Derek? What's good, my boy? What you getting yourself into, Loken and Token? King said hi. Hello there. How are we doing? I'm doing good. We just chilling, enjoying the day. It's hot as fuck though, but nah, yesterday's because my phone was dying. Well, my phone died, should I say. I forgot to plug my shit in. But this time I have it plugged in, even though my shit's only at 4%. Yesterday that shit was out. I completely forgot to plug that shit in. Free P. Diddy? Well, didn't he get found not guilty of, the main ones? I mean, he's still going to do time, but yeah. If you followed the case and you actually paid attention to it, I can understand why, some people, I can understand why they, the verdict was the way it was, right? Because even though he was doing a lot of scandalous shit to these people, I mean, these people at the same time, they were not the best of people either. It's kind of hard to feel any type of, it's hard to, sympathize with them when, they're just as bad as he is. They were all drug users. They all knew about the money involved, and they were cool with it, as long as the money was flowing. So it's kind of hard to, paint them as the victims here. Because remember, we're only talking, this was only going based off of what was said and what was provided in the court, not about people's, speculation or, this other stuff, all this other hidden agenda. Remember, they were just basing their decision based off of the evidence that was presented, right? So none of that Usher, Justin Bieber, none of that stuff, right, was presented. So when people be like, nah, but he's sick, bro. Look what he did to right here, right here. Yeah, provided in court, bro. That wasn't presented in court. They weren't talking about that in court, though. They were talking about some other shit. You know what I mean? Because I see people putting like, damn, man, that's crazy, man, after what he did with Justin Bieber and Usher. And it's like, bro, like, did you pay attention to the fucking court, the case, bro? Nowhere did they fucking mention any of that kind of shit. So what are you talking about? What will Diddy do to celebrate, throw a big party? Nah, I don't know. This kind of painted him like, in some type of way where it's gonna be pretty. It's not gonna go back to the same how it was before. He's gonna lose a lot of business, endeavors. He's gonna lose a lot of, individuals who, used to fuck with him. It's not gonna be the same how it was. He's gonna find out, pretty soon about that. Because this does make him look like a fucking weirdo, though. Like, even though he wasn't found guilty, like the stuff he was doing though was, I don't know, it's just weird. I wouldn't want to associate with somebody like that. What's cracking like in Mr. Pasa? You seen the video of him telling Nipsey not to clap? Nah. ¿Qué rollo, loco? Ya sabes, aquí nomás. Payday, that's right, Friday. He for sure beat up. Oh yeah. He for sure puts his hands not just on her, but on several other women too. For sure he has anger issues. For sure he beat up women, but that's not what they found him not guilty of. The not guilty was for the RICO, right? Like him actually sex trafficking, right? That he put his hands on women, that he's weird and all that. Oh yeah, he's definitely all of that. But they just feel like he wasn't doing this, like sex trafficking, right? But they acknowledge that he is all of this other stuff. P. Diddy wasn't gonna do that much because of that. Oh yeah, look, because let me tell you something. If it would be anybody else other than Diddy, like let's just say some random individual, they would have found guilty of everything, But since it's P. Diddy, you have to keep in mind that there's people that really believe that celebrities do no wrong, that they commit no wrong actions, that they do nothing wrong, that they're perfect, that they would never do this. Never. These women just want his money. These people just want their money. Uh-huh. Yeah. And there's people that just see it like that. It's because how these individuals value money, like how they, treat money, right? It's the reason why they just, go about it this other way, like, oh, they want his money. They just jealous because he has it, and they don't. Like, well, that's unhealthy. Your thoughts on you seen the suit recently? Who's that? Some rapper guy? I don't really care. People diss the suit all the damn time. They're gonna do what they're gonna do what they're gonna want to do. It's just music. It's not. Doesn't really mean much. Like people can say whatever they want. You know what I mean? But there's nothing you can do about them saying what they're saying, right? But it doesn't mean anything. Those are just words. See, it would be different if he's coming down here and actually, to these individuals, right? Compared to him just saying it, because anybody could just say anything they want. Like I said, it's music, though. Like, what do you get out of that, though? Because you don't look tough by doing that, I don't know. I don't understand people. I guess, they get views. And Big Diddy gonna ball out. Diddy part. Serio. Baby oil on him. Supposedly they said outside of the courthouse when they gave the verdict, whatever, that people were throwing baby oil. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what they said. I don't even know who that is, bro. Little Breezy. little white kid from Utah. What is he though? Like, is he like a gangster, a gang member, or who is he? Is he a rapper or is he a YouTuber? I don't know who that is though. P Diddy was was he? He wanted to be the main star. He wanted to be the main character. What's cracking like in Dashpool? What's good with you? Oh yeah, I even forgot what I was talking about yesterday. The guy just said your comment that looks like you're looking for you. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, he puts a lot of random stuff. You know, that's why I feel like he's not really all there in the head, right? Because a lot of his comments don't make sense. Like when you know it doesn't make sense to the conversation that we're having, right? Like it just goes completely like random, right? That's why I feel like he's maybe not all there. That's why I just go along with it. Because like what he's saying doesn't match the conversation, right? So that leads me to believe that maybe he suffers from some type of problems. And I'm not saying that like to try to cap on him or make fun. Like I genuinely like do believe that. Just by the stuff he puts, I'm just like sometimes it's just like it's just it just goes completely left. I'm just like, what the hell? What are your thoughts on Sammy the Bull? The mob guy? Not much. I mean, I heard people talk about his story like on here. I think who was talking about it? I don't know. Some guy that covers like mob shit, right? It just came up and I heard the thing, right? But I really don't. I'm not really into like that, like it's irrelevant to me. Everybody talking about it on social media. Serio? Damn, I never even heard of the individual. But then again, most of the stuff that I watch has nothing to do with the streets, though. He did the suit on. Oh, I don't even want a jumper. I can't stand at him. So I never watch No Jumper. The only time I ever know about what's going on No Jumper is when my subscribers send me the clips, right? But other than that, I refuse to give Adam any type of any view of mine. What's good, brother? Just got off. That's right. What's good with you, Alex Jones, mom? He did everybody punking him and making videos on. Serio? Yeah, but then dissing him on videos too, that doesn't make them gangster either. Like, I don't know. I just don't understand why people do the stuff that they do. Like, I'm not gonna, talk shit about somebody on a video, right? Like, if I have something to say to the individual that's insulting, I'll say it to them face to face, but I'm not gonna insult them online. So there's nothing gangster or hard about that, Like, if you're gonna say something disrespectful about somebody, say it to their face, right? At least that way they can defend themselves, right? Or then you guys take it to wherever you guys need to take it, right? But doing it on music or a video, there's nothing down or gangster about that, bro. He's a 14-year-old kid from Utah. Nobody worried about him dissing the song. That's crazy. Well, I'm saying, I mean, people diss the suit all the damn time. I mean, do you think he's freaks even after his trial? Oh yeah. He's not gonna change his devious behavior. You know what I mean? At this point, at his age, this is just a part of him. But ain't no party like a Diddy party, LeBron. Yeah, but see, here's the thing though. People like Diddy, like Epstein, people like weirdos like that, right? They're not stupid. They got away with it for so long for a reason. They're not dumb. Them being powerful people with money, they know how to they know how to play the game, right? They know that they just can't invite everybody into their devious acts, right? They know how to conversate with people, talk to people, and they know who's down with the shenanigans and who isn't, right? Just by them being able to read people, like they're like, okay, this fool will be down to, do some of the wild shit without saying anything. And some other people are like, okay, this person will definitely snitch. So they select. That's what the beginning of the party's for, is the selecting process, right? They pick the ones that are gonna be, and then like when they say, once the normal party ends, the after party begins, then that's when the ones who he selects stay for those type of, activities. Because they know that those people are not gonna. He knows that those people are just like him, right? So that they'll keep hush hush. So I don't believe that everyone that like was in his, like in his, like, let's say, home knew about the, the devious acts, right? Same with Epstein, right? You see all kinds of people, right? But doesn't mean that they were all in the mix. They know who to pick. That's how they were able to get away with it for so long. But like I said, egos start to inflate. They get sloppy. They start making mistakes, and then that's when they get fucking, burnt, and it all comes crashing down. But when people be like, damn, how were they able to get away with it for so long and everybody being around? How come no one said nothing? Because not everybody knew, bro. These fools ain't stupid, bro. They know who to. Look, even with these women that Diddy was, doing these freak offs with, right? If you paid attention to the case, they would have fucking fights and arguments and shit getting thrown and people being punched. You would think, why is Diddy putting up with these kind of females? Like, he has the money to, just go and pick out any girl he wants. Like, why put up with this fucking girl with this fucked up attitude? Why put up with all of this shit? Because he knows it's not easy to find people that are down with this kind of fucking behavior. He knows that it's rare. That's why whenever he finds one, he fucking lanches on and doesn't, let them escape. That's why he puts up with all their shit. Because finding someone that's going to be down with all his sick behaviors, it's hard to find, bro. They just don't grow those shits on trees. So when he does find one, he's like, shit, fuck, about time. That's what's up with all that shit. That's why these individuals put up with that kind of shit. Because like I said, people like this, they just don't grow on trees. So when they find one, shit, they got no choice but to put up with it, right? At least if they want to live out their fantasies. Because you tell some other girls, you want to do this and that, they're like, what the fuck? Fuck that. Like, lose my number. Right? Because like I said, money makes people do a lot of things, but not everybody's down for that kind of shit, right? And not everyone has a price to them. As corny as that may sound, but it's true though. Because he was putting up with all kinds of shit, right? And you're thinking like, man, this was a billionaire, man. He could just go and find a, like, why put up with this fucking female and her fucking, shit. Now that didn't give him the right to put his hands on them, right? But I'm meaning like, he still tolerated all kinds of shit though. What are your thoughts on the mob shit? Do you like researching mafia organizations and street into street gangs or prison gangs? Nah, I really don't like to, like prison gangs or mob gang, like nothing like that. Nah. Like I'm telling you, the only reason why, the street gang thing was a thing, right? It was because the homies were hitting me up and, shooting me all the info. It's not even that I was like, like searching up all the, you get me? It was coming from them. It was on their behalf, not because it was something I was doing, It just came, I happen to know a lot of people and it just, it was easy to do, right? But not something that, like, let's say, like I enjoy to do or whatever. You get me? It's just that people just gravitated to my channel. The Italian mafia fascinates me. Oh, I know, and it fascinates a lot of people. A lot of people, like that kind of stuff, and I can see why. I'm more into like, the stuff that catches my attention is more like the human behavior, the human interactions, science, psychology, philosophy, stuff like that is what catches my attention. The street life, well, I live the street life, right? So it's like, whatever people are saying is not something that like I don't already know, right? So it's like he's still dissing the suit, but he keeps getting punked in the video, getting first. It's sad he's gonna have to learn the hard way, like when you play around with stuff like that, then shit starts getting serious and then you end up becoming a victim. And all for what though, That's crazy. But social media is one hell of a drug. You like renting Airbnb for parties? Have you ever had homies? Nah, we had like house parties. People would throw parties in their house, right? Like you go to the flyer parties and shit like that, right? But never like a Airbnb type shit. That's not like what we like to do. Like my idea of a good time was like being posted in the neighborhood with homies and doing neighborhood shit. That's what I found entertainment. I really didn't care about the clubs and the bars or the partying. We kind of just wanted to be in the hood and putting in work and shit like that. As stupid as that may sound, but that's literally what we like to do. That's how we found entertainment. And not to sound cool or tough, gangster, but I'm just being honest. Like even when the homies when they'll pick me up and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna go to a club," I'm like, "Nah, man, just take me out to the hood. Just take me to the hood. If not, stop the car. I'm getting off right now. I'm gonna go walking." And I was like that. I was really like that. Do a video on give that knowledge that these youngsters in the streets. And again, no, but see, here's the thing though. You can be an ex-police officer. You can be an ex-gang member. You can be a current gang member. You can be a priest. You can be the best counselor. These youngsters are not going to listen to nobody but the only person that can change their mind and their decisions about the streets. The only ones that could have those conversations and change their opinions and actually make a difference is their parents, bro. Not nobody else. I could give them the best advice in the world, but if they go back to the spot and to the same people that are causing them the stress, causing them the problems that's making them react like this, lash out like this, then no matter what anybody says out there, even if it's the best advice, is gonna go in one ear and out the other. Once he goes back to that spot, and now he's feeling the pressure by these people that that he's idolizing. Then no matter what anybody says, then it's like his anger's gonna take over, his emotions are gonna take over, and all that shit you said to him is flying out the window, bro. They're the only ones that can make the change. Trust me, I should know this. Hey, ex-gang members would come and talk to us like in the school shit, right? Police officers, and hey, bro, we weren't listening to them. We didn't give a fuck about what they had to say or what was coming out of their mouth, especially if they were somebody that's not even in the streets no more. You know what I mean? Even like current homies, you know, fuck. We're gonna do what we're gonna do regardless, and nobody would be able to change our mind. Except, like I said, those people, right? But those people are not the ones that are trying to have these kind of conversations with us, or didn't even have those conversations with us. And if they would try, right, they wouldn't know how to go about it, right? Coming insulting and dissing and yelling and talking shit, like that's not gonna change, anything. You miss me with all that, And like I said, I talk to my little homies. I know what goes on in their heads. You know what I mean? They ain't listening to none of these people. I know the pain that they harbor. I know what's really going on. Homies that are in the streets, they know what's really going on, with these individuals. But it's shit that individuals don't like to talk about or don't want to talk about, right? Because it deals with emotions. But like I say, hey, that's the only way to face the problem. But those type of people, don't know how to have those conversations or don't want to have conversations. That's why when these people be like, "Oh yeah, we're looking to change the youth opinion." Bro, trust me. I remember when ex-gang members would come and talk to us in the school thing. Bro, we weren't listening to a fucking word they said, bro. Especially if they were ex-gang members. We were like, fucking, this fucking lame, this drop off shit. We were tuning that shit out, bro. Straight up. That's how I know when these people say that they're actually, these fools ain't listening to you guys. These fools ain't paying attention. Especially at that age, they ain't listening to you, bro. Especially at that age, they ain't hearing you. You know what I mean? That's how I know that these fools are full of shit, that it's just all about the money. But see, the people don't know any better because, like I said, they're not from the streets, so they don't know how these individuals' mentalities work, right? So they actually believe, okay, these individuals coming and saying something's going to make a difference. No, it's not. The stuff I put out there, right, and the message I give is for the parents. It's for the future parents, right? It's for them, because, raising a kid is very important. Having conversations, being there for your kid is crucial. This is more for them, right? Or for those who have family members who are, who have individuals that are from the streets. This is why they do what they do, why they think the way they think, why they move the way they move. It's not for the actual individuals, right? You could go and look at all my videos. That's why you never see not one homie come and say, this was full of shit. He don't know what he's talking about. Hey, come on now. I know why these individuals chose to be from the streets. And it's got nothing to do with peer pressure or brainwashing or none of that. And that's why none of these individuals come and say, I'm full of shit in the comments, bro. Because they know what I'm saying is facts. Like, I didn't have real conversations with these individuals. We know what it really is like, what's really going on, with them. But that's stuff that people just are not aware of. They just don't know. Yeah, but he's a white boy talking shit about Mexicans. He's entitled to feel however he feels, bro. You know what I mean? Not like, it's facts or, or something to be like stressing over, getting worked up over. Yeah, people that fell off, look, people that fall off, right? People that are ex-gang members, they're going to say these things. They're going to say that they were groomed, that they were coerced, they were, peer pressured. But look who it's coming from. Of course they're going to say that. They're looking to save their own ass. They're looking to blame something else, somebody else. They're not looking to take responsibility for their action. They're still trying to do the blame game. Look for whatever, avenue they can to try to blame something else. It was these individuals. I was groomed. They're not taking accountability for their actions, that they actually wanted to go, that they actually found this shit fun, that they actually wanted to be a part of the reindeer games, that they didn't think that they were going to get caught, They wanted to be out there, acting a fool and stupid. Like I said, decisions that were all on them. They wanted to be the ones. But now that they get caught, of course, now they want to blame something else. They weren't saying all of that shit before. But it's easy to try to do the blame game, bro. They never take accountability. You know what I mean? Like I said, nobody forces these individuals. Nobody takes them out of their home and grabs them by the ear and forces them to come and get brainwashed. I mean, they come willingly. Hey, something was happening at home. Look, like I said, in the area where the gangs, are at, where the gangs are, located at, there's so many kids that grow up within that area. Not all of those kids that grow up in the area where the gangs are turn out to be gang members. If it really was the grooming and because of the areas, then all those kids would turn out to be members from those gangs. But they don't all, turn out to be. Only some of them. Why do only some of them turn out to be gang members, but not all of them? What are those parents doing that these parents are not? What is the difference that's happening? right? Because they're all going to the same school. They're all living in the same area. They see these individuals. They see the graffitis. They see everything. But they don't all turn out to be members from the street gang. Why is that? What are some parents doing and some parents are not? Obviously, there has to be, some kind of disconnection. Look, everybody knows this. In the street life, you're going to either get incarcerated or you're going to get shot and killed or something bad's going to happen to you. Everybody knows that even since a young age, you're able to recognize that. Now, if a child is coming from a loving home, a home that's full of love and he feels a part of the family, this 14, 13, 12-year-old, because that's the age that they normally get into the gangs, doesn't care whether he lives or dies or gets shot or goes to jail for life. Now, you're telling me that's a kid that's coming from a loving home and a loving family that feels like he's a part of that? He doesn't care whether he lives or dies at the age of, 12, 13, 14 years old. That's kind of strange, no? If he was actually feeling loved. You know what I mean? It just doesn't add up. There's a reason why these individuals are out there. And it's not because they feel like they have a loving family and home. Facts over feelings. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my lunch break is over. We got to get back to it. It was good chopping it up with you guys, and we out.